Hi, guys. So, I wanted to continue our wonderful adventure that we have with the one and only Ivan. It's been more than 2 weeks since we've heard anything, but when we last left off, we lost an important character in our story. So, I want you to think about it if you can remember who that was and what happened. And I'll leave you with this to start off, anyways. Bob heard from a rat, a reliable source, that they tossed Stella's body into a garbage truck, and it took 5 men and a forklift. So I want you to think right now before I continue about Stella and think about what kind of impact Stella had on Ivan and even Ruby. So I'll give you a second to think about that before I start. All right, comfort. All day I try to comfort Ruby, but what can I say? That Stella had a good and happy life? That she lived as she was meant to live? That she died with those who loved her most nearby? Well, at least the last is true. Crying. Julia cries all evening while her father sweeps and mops and dusts and cleans the toilets. When George sees Mac, he runs to him. I can only hear a few of his words. Vet, should have, and wrong. Mac shrugs. His shoulders droop. He leaves without a single word. When George wipes the fingerprints off my glass, his cheeks are wet. He doesn't meet my eyes. The one and only Ivan. When all of the humans have left, I sent Bob to check on Ruby. So now Bob's checking on Ruby. How is she? I ask when he returns. Oh, she was shivering, Bob says. I tried to cover her with hay, and I told her not to worry because you were going to save her. I glare at him. You told her that? You promised Stella. Bob lowered his head. I wanted to make the kid feel better. I shouldn't have made that promise, Bob. I just wanted... I point to Stella's domain, and for a moment, it seems like I have forgotten how to breathe. I wanted to make Stella happy, I guess. But I can't save Ruby. I can't even save myself. I flop onto my back. The cement is always cold, but tonight it hurts. Bob leaps onto my belly. You are the one and only Ivan, he says. Mighty Silverback. He licks my chin, and he's not even checking for any leftovers. Say it, Bob commands. I look away. Say it, Ivan. I don't answer, so Bob licks my nose until I can't stand it anymore. I am the one and only Ivan, I mutter. And don't you ever forget it, he says. When I gaze at the food court skylight, the moon that Stella loved is shrouded in clouds. Once upon a time. All night, Ruby moans and sniffles, and I'm pacing my domain. I don't want to fall asleep in case she needs something. Ivan, Bob says gently, get some sleep, please, for your sake and for mine. Bob can't sleep unless he's on my stomach. I hear a stirring. Ivan? Ruby calls. Oh, I rush to my window. Ruby, are you all right? Oh, I miss Aunt Stella, Ruby sobs. And I miss my mom and my sisters and my aunts and my cousins too. I know, I say, because it's all I can think of. Ruby sniffles again. I can't sleep. Do you know any stories the way that Aunt Stella did? Not really, I admit. Stories were Stella's specialty. Tell me a story about when you were little, Ruby pleads. She puts her trunk between the bars. Please, Ivan. I scratch the back of my head. I don't remember things, Ruby, I admit. It's true, Bob says, trying to be helpful. Ivan has a terrible memory. He's the opposite of an elephant. Ruby lets out a long, shivering breath. Oh, well, that's okay. Night, Ivan, and night, Bob. I listen to Ruby's soft sobs for a long amount of horrible minutes. Then I hear myself saying, once upon a time, there was a gorilla named Ivan. And slowly and deliberately, I try to remember. The grunt. I was born in a place humans call Central Africa, in a dense rainforest, so beautiful, no crayons could ever do it justice. Gorillas don't name their newborns right away, the way that humans do. We get to know our babies first. We wait to see hints of what they might be like. When they saw how much she loved to chase me around the forest, my parents decided on my twin sister's name, Tag. Oh, how I loved to play tag with my sister. She was nimble, but when I got too close, she would leap onto my unsuspecting father. Then I would join her and we would bounce on that tolerant belly until he gave us the grunt, the rooting pig sound that meant enough. That game never got old, although my father might have disagreed. Mud. It didn't take long for my parents to find my name. All day long, every day, I made pictures. I drew on rocks and bark and my poor mother's back. I used the sap from leaves. I used the juice from fruit. But mostly, I used mud. And that's what they called me. Mud. To a human, mud might not sound like much, but to me, it was everything. Protector. My family, which humans call a troop, was just like any other gorilla family. There were 10 of us. My father, the silverback, my mother, and 3 other adult females, a juvenile male called a blackback, and 2 other young gorillas. Tag and I were the babies of the group. We squabbled now and then, as families will, but my father knew how to keep us in line with a simple scowl. And for the most part, we were happy to do what we were meant to do, to feed, nap, and play. My father was a master at leading us to the ripest fruit for our morning feast and the finest branches for our night nests. He was everything a silverback is meant to be, a guide, a teacher, and a protector. And nobody could chest beat like my father. A perfect life. Gorilla babies and elephant babies and human babies are not so different, except that a gorilla gets to spend the day riding on his mother's back, like a cowboy or a horse. It's a pretty great system from a baby's point of view. Slowly, carefully, a young gorilla begins to venture further and further away from the safety of his mother's arms. He learns the skills he will need as an adult. How to make a nest of branches. You have to weave them tightly or they'll fall apart in the middle of the night. How to beat your chest. Cup your palms to amplify the sound. And how to go vining from tree to tree. Don't let go. How to be kind, be strong, be loyal. Growing up gorilla is just like any other kind of growing up. You make mistakes, you play, you learn, and you do it all over again. It was, for a while, a perfect life. The end. One day, a still day, the hot air hummed, the humans came.